Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show. My name is Leon Jones. This morning's topic: a friend is an ally, whereas associates are lukewarm. Part 2. Now, I'm doing this video because there was some information that I forgot to mention in the first video. Because it is very important to understand who your friends are and who your associates slash acquaintances are. And again, many of us get friends and associates mixed up. Going over some of the earlier topics when it comes to friends, particularly with social media, many individuals to whom you converse with on social media are not your friends. You can call them your friends, but you must understand friendships happen over time. Also, friendships happen when you actually meet the person in person. Just because you meet somebody for the first time, it does not mean that they are your friend. Case in point, a number of us who do YouTube videos have subscribers. But a subscriber is not necessarily your friend. A subscriber may look at one video, they like the video, or they might not like the video. They'll subscribe to that one video and they may not come back to your channel again. But when it comes to meeting decent friends, you must look at the mental state of meeting people in general. But to meet a friend, just the same way you would meet a significant other, when I say mental state, you have to look at how much medication they're taking. You have to look at their health. Are they constantly sick? You also have to look at, are they insecure? There are a number of insecure people out there, and when they don't get their way, they're going to use childish shaming tactics to try to get you to do what they want you to do. That's not a friend. That's a user. But you also should look at what kind of family background they came from, because there are a number of people out here, men and women, who have been molested by family members. And if you have a functional family who has given you the tools to grow up to make something of yourself, you're going to be able to have the confidence when it comes to meeting the demands of the real world. And some of the demands are dealing with people, even the ones you don't agree with. You're also going to have a good temperament. You're going to have discipline. But if you are a product of a bad environment, you're going to continue to display the same type of mischief with another person due to your environment. Let me repeat myself. When you come from a bad environment, that bad environment, no matter where you move, is still going to be in you until you change it. Now, I'm going to go off topic a little bit because there are a number of men and women who talk about there are no good men and women out there. Well, the types of men and women that you are actually meeting are based on who you're attracting. And you're attracting people just like you, but you don't know it. In other words, if you're from the ghetto, you're going to attract ghetto. You might complain about ghetto, but you're just as ghetto as that other person that you're attracting. Why? Because you haven't raised your standards. And most of us are attracting people to whom we already know what they're about based on where they come from. Now, I'm not saying everybody who comes from the ghetto is bad, but I can tell you this: when you go into that type of environment, you do see a lot of dysfunction that takes place. This is why in situations or areas in the ghetto, there's a lot of high crime and a lot of high poverty. They go hand in hand. Well, you ought to look at that when it comes to meeting friends. where they come from, and also who your prospective friend associates with themselves. Because, like robbing a bank, if you drive the getaway car and the person that you associate with is robbing a bank, guess what? If they get caught robbing a bank, you also get caught. Why? Because you associated with that person. So if you associate people who have the savage mentality, you're also going to be a savage. Whether you are utilizing savage behavior or not. This is why I said when you look for any type of person to be in your life, particularly in your circle, because it's very important that you keep your circles small for reasons that you can actually control what goes on in your circle if it's small. But if it's large, you're going to have a number of different opinions, and your agenda or your direction or the people that are in your circle when it's big, they're going to have their own agendas. You want like-minded people in your circle. You want individuals that you don't have a lot of conflict. You want secure people. You want people who share in your circle. You want people to go in the same direction you're going. But as with any relationship, it's a two-way street. When I say like-minded, you must have decent people that you associate with as well, because they're going to be looking at you as well. You don't want to be in a complicated position to where you're utilized as just a tool to help somebody get out of their situation. And so that is why it is very, very important that you come from a stable background. Meeting friendships take a long time to develop. But in the end, if you work at it, you can be successful at having individuals who support what you do and you support what they do to build that camaraderie. But when I talk about mental state, going back to that, if you meet individuals who are bipolar, narcissistic, they have histrionic personality disorders, they have bipolar disorders, they're going to be individuals who are going to be very, very rational with their thinking and their decision making. Well, interacting with those types of people, you're not going to get anything but conflict, because a number of them, when you tell them they have a problem, they're going to look at you as if you have the problem. And the same way, when you go out and meet a significant other, you have people who can turn on you at the drop of a dime. That's what you're trying to prevent. So when you look at the mental state and the psychological state of the individuals you meet, you must understand that if they haven't taken care of their mental disorders or the psychological disorders, it's going to be disastrous for you, because they will bring you down. In fact, if they come from a situation where they have a lot of problems, they're going to try to get you involved with their problems. And what that's going to do for you, it's going to get you off of your focus. See, the whole object to having good friends in your system is to grow a network of people that you can go to for emotional support, financial support, and also advice. Now, when I say financial support, I'm not talking about going to them when you're in need all the time, because you should not be needy and you shouldn't meet needy people, because again, those types of people are going to take you down, and they won't be friends. They're going to be what we call parasites. They're going to feed off the host. So when it comes to meeting any type of friends, you must vet them. You must check out the environment where they're from. You must check out their financial habits. Now, you're not going to learn every single solitary item about a person, but you want a general idea of, when you meet somebody, are they fit to be in your circle? And you want to keep your circle very, very, very small. As far as a man is concerned, I don't want to meet mama's boys. Why? Because mama's boys aren't grown up. And unfortunately, and that's another topic when I do the video on being a man, meeting decent males can be very difficult because you have a number of males who still live at home with their moms. And I know some, they're 30, they're 40 years old, they haven't grown up. Why? Because their moms enabled them by doing everything for them. And when these men get out and meet good women, they make poor husbands and poor partners because they don't have the skills on what it takes to understand how the real world works because they weren't taught by successful men. In fact, their moms may have been around bad men in their lives. And that's what you got to look at when I tell you about foundation. What did the people in these particular people's lives set up for them? If they set up a bad environment for them, it's going to be up to the individual to change that environment. That's why, again, I said in the beginning of this video, you have a number of men who put videos up about black women. Now, I'm an African American man myself. I don't do videos about black women. Why? Because I don't associate with the ratchet black women that they associate with. And see, they're associating with these types of black women because they themselves are ratchet themselves, no matter how intellectual they present themselves as. And why do I say that? It's because they're not leaving the situation. They are very content with being in that situation because it's comforting. It gives them something to talk about. See, when you want to meet better people in your life, there are times that you have to change who you are. You have to take responsibility. And once you take responsibility, now you have to put that responsibility into action to make it work for you. You see, meeting good people, good friends, is the same as a job. You have to put a lot of effort into it. And that effort means looking at your belief system. Because really, everything that we do in our life depends on us. If we choose to be in a situation with bad people, we're going to stay in that situation. If we choose to better ourselves, we're going to put the action forth and we're going to make it happen by changing our belief system so we can do better. So when it comes to friendships, you have to be stable psychologically and mental to meet decent friends. Now, again, you must understand, just as in meeting a significant other, that meeting people who you want to be potential friends, they're not going to be perfect. And if you're looking for perfection, you're going to lose because you're not perfect. Must remember that we all have flaws, but you have to look at what kinds of flaws that the people that you are encountering have. If you meet individuals on social media, and I'm not saying social media friendships can't develop, they can. But you have too many people who hide behind social media because they want to avoid the real world and they want to put all of their dirt on social media because they're angry. You don't want to meet angry people. You want to meet positive people. Because when people are positive, positive people help you grow. When people are negative, it's because they have a lot of conflict going on with their lives and they refuse to get help. And that's another thing too when it comes to the psychological part. If a person does have a psychological disorder and you give them some friendly advice about, hey, you seem or appear to be a good person, you may need some help psychologically because you have some problems. And if you don't talk to somebody about your problems, those problems are going to persist, and you're always going to be in and out of relationships because you're going to blame everybody else instead of looking at yourself. Remember something. You don't want anybody in your life, and I'm talking about friends here, who have emotional baggage. A good friend is somebody that you can talk to and they can talk to you. I'm not a counselor. I've done a number of videos. In fact, I would suggest a number of you to go back and look at my videos that I made last year, March and April, on some of these psychological disorders. Because what's happening, a number of us, when we meet people, we always look at a number of individuals who have bad attitudes. Well, understand that you have individuals that aren't wrapped too tight. They have some of these disorders. They're over medicated. They're poor health wise. Some of them may be high school dropouts. They haven't done anything with their lives. The bottom line is you must understand that when you meet anybody, especially, I'm going back to social media, on social media, because there's a lot of things that social media can do to enhance a person, even though their lives are problem stricken. I mean, Instagram can take somebody who is unattractive, make them look attractive. Online dating, when you meet somebody, they can write a few paragraphs and put up good pictures to get a lot of attention. But you must understand, when you meet people, you want to meet them in person, because you can determine by their actions whether they're going to be a good friend or not. And just because you meet individuals at work, because at work we have a lot of associates, church, you have a lot of associates. Now, why do I say that? Because although you see people at church, school, work, wherever you go, you're not really hanging out with a number of these individuals, except for a few hours during the times you see each other. For the most part, when you go to work, you work with your colleagues. You can become friends off work or out of church or even out of college with some of them. That's if you choose to interact with each other. But for the most part, you have to watch people to whom you work around or you associate with at school or at church, because these are the people who are really looking to try to use you if you allow them to use you. Why? Because their actions are going to dictate it. If you are looking for a friend, just like I said in the first video, you don't need somebody who is basically one who gossips a lot, because those are the people that are going to have a lot of drama in their lives. And when you bring that into a friendship, it just brings you down. Like I said before, a person who gossips and they hang around people who gossip, well, you have to look at that person as an associate or an acquaintance, but you don't put your time into that person because of the decisions that they're making by associating themselves with people who are bad people. And again, you have a lot of gossip that goes around, and when people gossip, what happens, a lot of information comes out that is false. In other words, it's a character assassination. Well, you don't want people like that. Part of having friendships, and friendships are healthy, is you want individuals in your circle to whom are loyal, but on the same token, you have to be loyal. You don't want individuals who have a lot of baggage in their past. You don't want individuals who have a lot of mental disorders or psychological disorders. You want people who are functioning health-wise, although you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a dime body, but you have to be able to have some type of functional physical health. And what I mean by that, one that is able to get up. They don't have to run a mile, but one that can function. Now, if you're in a store, you're an older woman or you're an older man and you got to use a scooter, that still doesn't make everything bad for you health-wise, because as long as you're functioning and you're keeping yourself up, that's what counts. You got to take care of yourself, because this is what I look at when it comes to being a friend, your appearance. I didn't say looks. Looks are enhancers. And then another item that's very, very important, and I'm going to mention it right now, attitude. Two things that you should judge a person on when you meet them: their attitude and their performance. That basically sums up this whole video. Because if you meet individuals who have a poor attitude, that is putting you in a position to where they're going to suck you in to their drama-filled life. You see, your attitude means everything. If you have a positive attitude, you're going to go a long way in life when it comes to meeting people. If you have a negative attitude, you're going to be in and out of relationships, because you see life as being very, very destructive. Why? Because you're blaming everybody else for your downfall. So when it comes to friendships, you must understand, besides the insecurities, the bipolar issues, the foundation of where the person that you have interacted or you're trying to interact with, where they come from, because again, you're a product of your environment as well. But everything that I have mentioned all goes back to your attitude, because your attitude is going to dictate how you perform. If you have a positive attitude, you're going to grow. But if you have a negative attitude, you're going to fail. And that's where a number of us, when it comes to meeting friends, will not understand. You can't pick somebody because they look good all the time. You got to look at their mental and their psychological state, because that's where the attitude comes from. And you also have to look at, again, the environment that they come from. Again, meeting people isn't difficult. It's vetting people that can be very difficult, because a number of people, they're not going to give you the information that you're looking for. Look at body language. That's everything. Look at how much nonverbal communication from body language. Look at how they communicate. Again, if a person is constantly on social media and they're constantly texting, I would stay away from that person. Why? Because, again, being a friend means you're not just associating with each other via texting, but you're actually talking. You're meeting face to face. You are doing things together. You're going in the same direction with your life. Now, when it comes to associates or acquaintances, they're lukewarm because they really don't have your best interests. Why? Because they have their own agenda. And their own agenda might be to become your friend, or they might be to bring you down. And it brings me to my next point. You don't want to meet somebody who is envious and jealous. And you don't want to be envious and jealous, because that really plays a part on security issues. I'm not envious of anybody who's better than me at something, because I'm better than somebody else at something. We all have talents. But the bottom line, when it comes to meeting people. You can have compassion, but you're responsible for your own actions. You must be adult and mature as well, and they must be adult and mature when you meet them as possible friends as well. And again, everything that I've mentioned ties in to your attitude. But where does your attitude come from? Well, it comes from the environment you were brought up, and it comes from people you associate with. Again, if you associate with a number of bad people and you're meeting good people, and that good person or good people recognize that you associate with bad people, they're not going to want to associate with you because you are a product of your environment. That's why I always tell people associate with positive people, because they're going to have a good attitude. You're going to want to be around them. And when you're around them, you're going to want to play a part as part of a team member. Friendships are supporting cast. Acquaintances or associates are just there for the ride. Why? It all starts with attitude. Attitude then goes to psyche, mental, physical. But at the end of the day, if you know what you want in a friendship and you stick to your belief system and you also admit that you can be wrong and you have flaws and you're honest with yourself, it's going to be a lot easier to meet people to be in your little circle. But as an individual, if you don't take responsibility for your actions and you're always blaming somebody, you're insecure, you're not loyal, it's going to also show. So at the end of the day, when it comes to meeting people, attitude and performance are everything. And if you don't believe me, look around you and you'll find out in the real world, when you see a number of destructive relationships that are based on poor performance and attitude. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show for this morning, Sunday, February 4th, 2018. You can tune into the 401 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. Now, if you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now on this channel, I don't engage in emotional topics, controversial topics, or debates, nor do I participate in drama and or unnecessary bickering, because it is counterproductive. What I do on this channel is give you information. Whether I believe the information or not from something I've read, it's just information. I am educating, I am teaching, I am giving you important information that will help supplement your lives. So when you're out there trying to have friendships, you have the tools that you need to meet quality people, because quality people in your life will help you grow. Because quality people have knowledge. If you have knowledge, you have power. And if you have a topic, a new YouTube channel or business that you would like for me to talk about on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, the only thing you have to do is email me. My email address is lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering, if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other and have a wonderful and blessed day.